The MKX is dead. Long live the Nautilus. Well, kind of. This Nautilus is the midlife update of the MKX. It's still a mid-size 5-seater SUV, and the reason that it's come across with a new name and a different look with a few new options and available technology is that the naming strategy of MK was a bit confusing. There was MKC, MKX, MKT, MKZ. It was all just a bit confusing. Lincoln gets that, and they wanted to address it by bringing their vehicles out with proper names. And I was presented with this all-new Nautilus with the 2.7 litre V6 in this reserve trim with all of the goodies and optional extras packed in. So let's break down everything that this vehicle has, what it's like to drive, and how it actually stands up as a modern Lincoln product. And then at the end of the video, I'll place the Nautilus in my ranking system to determine where it lives amongst other mid-size SUVs. So without further ado, let's go for a drive. Alongside the introduction of the Nautilus also came along the midlife update for the new Ford Edge, and that vehicle has some similar technology, a new engine, just like this new Nautilus. But if you're looking to put 7 people in a mid-size SUV that's a Lincoln product, you're going to have to wait for the new Aviator coming out next year. So what makes up the Nautilus refresh? Well, it's got a few new styling cues that are reminiscent to other Lincolns in the lineup. So it has that bold chrome grille, there's that nameplate along the side. The naturally aspirated engine is gone for this mid-size SUV. We only have 2 engine choices now, both of them a forced induction. We have the 2-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder engine that produces 250 horsepower, 280 pound-feet of torque. And then we have this V6 in my bonnet right here. It's the 2.7 litre twin turbocharged 335 horsepower, 380 pound-feet of torque V6. For Canada, there is 2 trims. You either have the Select or the Reserve, and if you go for that V6, that locks you in to the Reserve trim. You have to have it there, but you can have the 2-litre for either the Select or the Reserve trim. Both of those engines are mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission. They use all-wheel drive to send power to the road and have automatic stop-start technology. For this top trim Reserve, I'm faced with a lot of equipment and a lot of optional extras in this specific model. But then for the most basic model, heated front seats, blind spot monitoring assist, adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, a power tailgate, a wireless phone charger, and keyless entry is all standard equipment. Some of the things that you can get in the Reserve include these 22-way adjustable front seats. They're heated, cooled, and massaging. The rear seats are heated as well. I have a heated steering wheel, the 19-speaker Revel sound system, lots of safety technology, including 360-degree cameras, automatic parking, and a new lane centering assist system. So it works in conjunction with the cruise control and the lane keep assist technology, but rather, you know, it only activating once it thinks you're about to go over the line or off the road. This one is a totally active system, and it's constantly trying to keep me in the center of my lane and not ping pong me from the left side to the right side. There's some lovely materials, the leather on the seats and the steering wheel, including a fair amount of soft touch and hard plastics. It does contribute to a nice space to sit, but it just doesn't feel like a major step up to its Ford counterpart. I've reviewed the Expedition and the Navigator, and those vehicles felt like a very significant separation between the two because the interiors were so starkly different. It felt like you were getting into a more premium vehicle because the entire structure of the interior was different. And I know this Lincoln is revised slightly to its Ford counterpart. For example, the way that this center tunnel is stacked up, how we have the transmission buttons up here on the side is different, but it just doesn't feel significant enough. It doesn't feel like the modern Lincoln that I know they're capable of being with the models such as the Navigator and the Continental. It feels quality, but it just doesn't feel premium if you know what I mean. The doors are heavy, everything feels solid, there isn't any flex. The 12.3 inch screen is a beautiful thing to look at. It can be as minimalist as you desire, where it's just a speedo and it doesn't even have the speed indicated on the outside, just your current speed in the center. Then you have other things off to the right hand side where you can see your fuel economy, your driving characteristics, what they call their eco behaviors, and then your power distribution monitor. It isn't all doom and gloom for the front though. There's plenty of storage. You have two cutaways here in the center tunnel, one where it's a good spot to keep sunglasses, and then another where you could throw a handbag. To finish up everything about the interior, the rear seats are a little tighter than I was expecting. It might be the panoramic roof that's contributing to this problem, but the rear headroom I think could be better, and they do recline forwards and backwards slightly, so that's a way to get a little more comfortable. And then just below the heated seat buttons you have a household power socket. Some unfortunate things back there though is that the seats don't split three ways. They're a 60-40 split, and they don't go forwards and backwards on sliders at all. They're fixed in place. I think you could fit 3 average size adults abreast. There isn't much of a transmission hump. And then for the driving characteristics, what is this V6 like? Well, the twin turbo power can really motivate this thing forward. If you're ever going at highway speed and you quickly need to overtake someone, this is a wonderful vehicle for the job. When you're at a stop though and you command that same sort of acceleration, you can definitely feel a good amount of turbo lag. The 8-speed transmission is new to this vehicle, and I've experienced more than a few shunts going in between gears, and I'm sure there's some of you out there that simply cannot stand having buttons as a way to change your drive, but I don't really mind it. Yes, I would absolutely prefer a lever or a dial, but this really isn't much cause to concern for me. And the term Nautilus, when you hear the word, you might immediately think nautical, seamanship, being a sailor, and I'm sure that was the concept behind the name, but a Nautilus is actually a cephalopod. Little bit of trivia knowledge for you. The reason I bring that up is that, is the Nautilus boat-like? Does it drive like a boat? Simple answer, yeah, a bit. It's a very comfortable cruiser, even on these 21-inch wheels that you get with the Reserve model. It's a incredibly comfortable vehicle. You have to go over the worst of pavement for it to be upset. The steering isn't boat-like, it's fairly direct, and it actually has the adaptive system that I've tested out with the Navigator and the Continental. And if you ever get into a vehicle with this system, it's gonna seem really strange at first when the steering ratio speeds up, but you'll quickly learn to appreciate it whenever you're going through tight parking spots or you're doing quick 3-point turns. And this vehicle does seem large, but I wouldn't say ungainly. I like having this little hump down the center of the bonnet. In a way, it's a device to line up easier if you're ever parking along a curb or something like that. For a premium vehicle, I'm hearing a bit too much wind noise coming off of the wing mirrors and around the door sills right here. It just is louder than I think it should be. For a vehicle like the Nautilus, I know it is meant to be a luxury cruiser, and cruising along at town speed or highway, you know, going on a long distance drive, lives up to that expectation. It's supremely comfortable. But to be frank, I'm just not getting too much more out of a luxury driving experience with other aspects of the vehicle. It's a bit noisy, the interior doesn't match up to other vehicles of this price point are capable of, and it just doesn't follow up to the Lincoln standards that I've experienced previously with the Navigator and the Continental. As an SUV that was built with new intentions, the Nautilus was absolutely built as a vehicle that leaned on the side of luxury rather than sporting as a driving experience. But perhaps that's largely one of the problems with the Nautilus, is that it just doesn't feel special enough as a Lincoln product. As I said, I have experienced the Continental and the Navigator, and those vehicles really did feel like a step up to their Ford counterparts, which this one frankly just isn't. It's a good looker, supremely comfortable, and you'd be incredibly hard pressed to find something in this vehicle in terms of technology that you couldn't find in many other vehicles for this kind of price point. However, if you are looking at this type of vehicle, I would say hold on a little later for Lincoln's all-new mid-size SUV, the 7-seater Aviator. That looks like a vehicle that is more in line to the Lincoln that I know. So that's why I think that the Nautilus is an SUV that you should take a look at. Like I said, the interior isn't up to snuff to the price point. It isn't up to the other modern, more high-lined Lincoln products. But if you're looking for a vehicle that has a ton of technology and is very comfortable, the Nautilus is still worth checking out. So that's been everything from me. Thank you so much for taking the time to watching this video. Please like the video if you liked it, share it if you think other people would like it too, and if you want to hit that subscribe button just down below, that does the world for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again.